Welcome back to Mr. Wicklam's Virtual Math Classroom, where today we're going to be looking still at our measurement unit. We're going to be switching gears and we're going to move away from centimeters and millimeters, and we're going to look at bigger units of measurement, which would be meters and kilometers. When you hear of meters, usually you would think of, let's say, a person such as myself. I would be close to 2 meters tall. So if you look at that meter stick and you held 2 meter sticks end to end from the floor up to my head, I would be approximately 2 meters tall. The door of our classroom, or up to the roof of our classroom, let's use it from the floor to the roof, that would be approximately 3 meters high. Okay, so meters can measure height, meters can measure distance. For instance, when you run track, you do 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 meter, 800 meter, and the 1500 meter. Cross country runners, you would know kilometers, right? If you run 3.2 kilometers, okay, that's 3,200 meters. So kilometers measure even bigger distances. So if we're going to look at taking a trip, for instance, and we're just good, let's say we're going to go to from our school to Trenton. Okay, would we measure that in millimeters, centimeters, meters, or kilometers? Well, we're going to measure that in kilometers because it's a big distance, and from Trenton, from our school to Trenton is about 15 kilometers. Okay, so usually when we're driving anywhere, we usually measure in kilometers. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to look at is we're going to look at what that word kilo means. So kilo, what that means is kilo means 1,000. So basically what kilometer is 1,000 meters. So if we look at what 1 kilometer equals, well, 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. Okay, 1,000 meters, that's what kilometer means. So what we would need to make 1 kilometer, we would need 1,000 meter sticks. 1,000 meter sticks, lay them end to end, and that would give us a kilometer. Okay, so if we were looking at even a kilometer, like our field, if we laid the meter sticks end to end out in our field, that wouldn't even be a kilometer. We would have to keep going, probably past the field, through the tall grass, through the farmer's field, and go up to a house that you can see just past there. That would probably be a kilometer. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do some simple conversions. Okay, so we want to change kilometers to meters. Okay, so if one kilometer equals 1,000 meters, what would 4 kilometers be? Well, 4 kilometers would be 4,000 meters. You're probably thinking, Mr. Wicklam, what's the math behind that, right? How do I get that? Well, let's take 1,000, because we know that 1 kilometer equals 1,000. We're going to multiply it by 4 because we want 4 kilometers. So let's do the math. We know that anything times 0 is 0, and 4 times 1 is 4. There's the math. Okay, 4,000 meters. So if this is 4 kilometers is 4,000 meters, what would 8 kilometers be? Well, 8 kilometers would be 8,000 meters. So basically when we're changing from kilometers to meters, the simple rule is you add how many zeros? Well, I added 1, 2, 3. Because we're dealing with thousands. Okay, so there's ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So we need to add 3 zeros to this. So 15 kilometers, well, it's simple. I add 3 zeros to 15. What do I get? 15,000 meters. So that distance to Trenton would be 15,000 meter sticks laid end to end. Can you see now why we use kilometers? It'd be pretty tedious, which means that it would be pretty labor intensive, a lot of work to lay 15,000 meter sticks end to end. We might as well just use the simple unit of 15 kilometers. Not to mention on those signs that give distance from place to place, they don't want to be writing 15,000 meters. That's why we use kilometers. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to do some basic. We have a number line here, and what we're going to do is we're going to jot these meters down on the number line. Now, what I want you to notice is that we start at 0 kilometers, okay, and we end at 1 kilometer. So 0 kilometers would also be 0 meters. 1 kilometer would be 1,000 meters. So if we know that, then what are each one of these lines representing? Well, how many of them are there? So we go 0. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what are we going up by each time? We're not going up by ones because we're going from 0 to 1,000. So this would be 100 meters, 200, 300, 400, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay? So what we're going to do then now is we can just jot down where these, where would 300 meters line up? Well, 300 meters would line up right there at 300. Okay, it's pretty simple. It's just you're going to see kilometers in your book, but if you change that to meters, it's going to be quite easy for you. So 750. Well, we have 700, we have 800. Where is 750? It is in the middle. So I can just put an arrow there and write B, because 750 is in between 700 and 800. 900 meters. Pretty self-explanatory, okay? And 150 right down here, and that's D. All right, guys, that's all it is we're just changing units, okay? So if we are at 0 kilometers and 1 is up here, then what we could do is we could also use decimals, because what this would end up being would be decimal 1 kilometer, decimal 2, decimal 3, all the way up to decimal 9 until we reach 1 kilometer. Because you can't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because we're at 1. We're between 0 and 1, which means that we need to use those decimal places. Okay? So all we're doing is we're just doing simple conversions, and then you might see a word problem. Okay? So this is a problem that I just made up. It says the Wicklum Tower is 210 meters in height. So it's 210 meters tall. Okay? About how many towers, that should be laid. I made a mistake there. I apologize. But how many towers laid end to end would make a kilometer? Well, first of all, what is a kilometer? How many meters? That's what you need to figure out. How many meters is a kilometer? Well, we know a kilometer is 1,000 meters. So you can either do multiplication, or you could do addition, or you could draw a picture. So I'm going to do all three. I'm going to make a tower. It's going to have a little steeple on it like that. Okay, and it's going to go like this. So that's 210. And I'm going to have another steeple like that. And it's got another base, 210. Another steeple. As you can see, I'm just drawing a picture. So right here I'm at 800 and, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 840. And so about 5, roughly, right? I drew the picture, I got 5. Well, if I multiply, or I add 210 plus 210, which is kind of what I was doing when I drew it, I would get 1,050, so roughly 5. Or I can multiply 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, count up by 2's, I get 5. So either way I get 5. So you might see a little word problem in there, and all we're doing is it's giving you the meters, and it's asking you how many it would take to make a kilometer. Now if you just take that kilometer and make it into meters, you'll have no problem with this. Okay? Today's work is quite simple, and you should be able to complete it with no problems as long as you read the instructions and you have watched this video. This is Mr. Wicklum signing off.